Oh, hi. Oh, hello, and welcome back. 28 Laws of Power discussion series, the longest video series in the history of ever video series. I am your host, Darth Idius, and tonight we have Law 14. Pose as a friend, but work as a spy. Speaking of friend, hello, the Juju Bee, the Bijou. Hello, the Ninja Kitty. Suzanne. Good evening. How's everybody doing? So yeah, day two of trying to do 5 of these this week. Perhaps, maybe someday we will be able to get through the current iteration. That is, I mean, if you're gonna pick a book of laws, I could have picked a shorter one. It's the 10 Commandments. At least it's not the U.S. Penal Code, because that would have taken forever. So tonight, I think we're talking about subterfuge. Spying. Spying on your friends. Why would anyone want to do such a thing? Jujubee, can you tell me why anyone would want to spy on their friends? Would you? Oh, hello, Texas Jen. Good to see you. We'd be long done if you went to the 10 Commandments. No one wants to be done with tithe streams. You spy when you don't trust. Is there any other reason you could think of that you would want to spy on someone who might even actually be a friend? Think about it in the terms of playing power positions. Oh, I don't even have the silly thing of dear, oh dear. Pardon me, y'all. 1 second. I mean, if you were going to spy on someone just in general for a power, why would you pose as their friend? It does. Oh, Hello there, small Mossum. Fancy meeting you here. Where is my present the screen button? Oofed. I mean, what is spying now? What does that word actually mean? Law 14. Pose as a friend, but work as a spy. Let's take a look. I mean, you give it a nefarious connotation, but as with all things, just because it's generally got a nefarious connotation, secretly collects person who secretly collects and reports information on the activities, movements, and plans of an enemy or competitor, or maybe even a friend. But it's a gathering of information. Yeah, pose means you aren't a friend. Correct. Well, let's find out though. Judgment. Knowing about your rival is critical. Use spies to gather valuable information that will keep you a step ahead. Better still, play the spy yourself. In polite social encounters, learn to probe. Ask indirect questions to get people to reveal their weaknesses and intentions. There is no occasion that is not an opportunity for artful spying. So yeah, interact with people and you get information. That is what spying is. And it's not hard to probe people. I know some people who are very good, very probative question askers, and they like to know things. You gotta be careful talking to the very inquisitive minded people because you might not even realize that you're revealing much about yourself by to people who ask the right kind of questions that seem generally what was the word they used here? Indirect questions. Nice questions that wouldn't lead you to believe that they're probing, which is exactly what they're doing. Observance of the law. Joseph Duveen was undoubtedly the greatest art dealer of his time. From 1904 to 1940, he almost single-handedly monopolized America's millionaire art collecting market. But one prize plum eluded him: the industrialist Andrew Mellon. Before he died, Duveen was determined to make Mellon a client. That's that Moby Dick, the white whale. Although, yeah, art dealer. He's an art dealer. Joseph Duveen, very renowned, according to this. Undoubtedly the greatest art dealer of his time. Duveen's friends said this was an impossible dream. Mellon was a stiff, taciturn man. The stories he had heard about the congenial, talkative Duveen rubbed him the wrong way. He had made it clear he had no desire to meet the man. Yet Duveen told his doubting friends, "Not only will Mellon buy from me, but he will buy only from me. So what I'm gonna say here is challenge accepted. Ayo, Charlemagne. How's it going? Charlemagne. For several years, he tracked his prey, learning the man's habits, tastes, phobias. To do this, he secretly put several of Melon's staff on his own payroll, worming valuable information out of them. By the time he moved into action, he knew Melon about as well as Melon's wife did. Okay, so I mean, this guy's trying to sell you art, but you don't want anything to do with him. So he hired a bunch of spies to learn everything about you because he doesn't want any. Because you don't want anything to do with him. It's a little obsessive. In 1921, Mellon was visiting London and staying in a palatial suite on the third floor of the Claridge's Hotel. Duveen booked himself into the suite just below Mellon's on the second floor. He had arranged for his valet to befriend Mellon's valet, and on the fateful day he had chosen to make his move, Mellon's valet told Duveen's valet, who told Duveen that he had just helped Mellon on with his overcoat and that the industrialist was making his way down the corridor to ring for the lift. Duveen's valet hurriedly helped Duveen with his own overcoat. Seconds later, Duveen entered the lift, and lo and behold, there was Mellon. "How do you do, Mr. Mellon?" said Duveen, introducing himself. "I am on my way to the National Gallery to look at some pictures." How uncanny! That was precisely where Mellon was headed. And so Duveen was able to accompany his prey to the one location that would ensure his success. He knew Mellon's taste inside and out, and while the two men wandered through the museum, he dazzled the magnate with his knowledge. Once again, quite uncannily, they seemed to have remarkably similar taste. Okay, so this is absolutely 100% full-on stalkery statusy stuff. Very much so. Uh, oh, hello, Mr. Squabobbles and Maddie. So, my man's Duveen has got all the spies and done all the very stalkery about this Melon fella. He really wants to touch his melon. I mean, he should have just asked nicely. That probably would have been easier. You're having shallow mania, yeah. I'm not surprised. Anybody else here think Duveen's a creepy bastard? I mean, how much does it cost to hire that many spies? Like, how many spies do you need to learn everything there is to know about a guy? You probably need more than one, because it said several of his employees. Don't make no sense. You're twisting my melon, man. Mellon was pleasantly surprised. This was not the Duveen he had expected. The man was charming and agreeable, and clearly had exquisite taste. When they returned to New York, Mellon visited Duveen's exclusive gallery and fell in love with the collection. Everything, surprisingly enough, seemed to be precisely the kind of work he wanted to collect. For the rest of his life, he was Duveen's best and most generous client, because Duveen studied you and he played you like a fiddle fool. But at the same time, like he manipulated this guy and it was definitely for his own gain, but Mellon benefited from this guy actually going well out of his way to manipulate him, because this guy's a avid art collector and this guy's got like the collection that you want. So you didn't want to deal with him based on the idea you had about him. So he found a way to worm his way in. But he was right though. I'm gonna buy from you entire exclusively. Interpretation. A man as ambitious and competitive as Joseph Duveen left nothing to chance. What's the point of winging it, of just hoping you may be able to charm this or that client? It's like shooting ducks blindfolded. Arm yourself with a little knowledge and your aim improves. Which is why he hired all the spies to learn everything there was about Mellon. Back in the day, they didn't have the internet, and you couldn't just go to someone's social media page and see every detail of their life. Now spying is easy because everyone got some sort of social media where they post and they stream of consciousness. And if they don't, they're getting more and more to be the rare ones indeed. Wait a minute. Yeah, knowledge is power. Especially if you're trying to get someone to do something. And this comes back to the rules of manipulation. But if you want to have influence on somebody, that is a manipulation of their way of thinking to try to bend their will towards yours. Mellon was the most spectacular of Duveen's catches, but he spied on many a millionaire. By secretly putting members of his clients' household staffs on his own payroll, he would gain constant access to valuable information about their master's comings and goings, changes in taste, and other such tidbits of information that would put him a step ahead. A rival of Duveen's, who wanted to make Henry Frick a client, noticed that whenever he visited this wealthy New Yorker, Duveen was there before him, as if he had a sixth sense. To other dealers, Duveen seemed to be everywhere, and to know everything before they did. His powers discouraged and disheartened them, until many simply gave up going after the wealthy clients who could make a dealer rich. Such is the power of artful spying. It makes you seem all powerful, clairvoyant, Your knowledge of your mark can also make you seem charming. So well can you anticipate his desires. No one sees the source of your power, and what they cannot see, they cannot fight. So he was just getting a little bit of a heads up, like plotting a surprise party for somebody. Only the surprise party is I'm gonna learn all of what you're doing so I can surprise sell you some art. Priceless art. You want some? And millionaires, they're fickle people, so a lot of that business is in your personality. You gotta learn how to give your high end clients exactly what they want. So knowing about them and having that edge is gonna win you the deal. There's a lot of scenarios where that could be inherently valuable, and most of them involve dealing with people who are wealthy enough to demand that level of service. And I got some priceless art if anyone wants some. If you would like some priceless art, Cat Ninja, hit up Cat Ninja. She is a priceless art dealer named Duveen. Speaking of priceless art, oh, shit. Cheers. Cheers, y'all. Around here we're learning, but also gonna smoke the Mary. No. Rulers see through spies as cows through smell, Brahmins through scriptures, and the rest of the people through their normal eyes. Kautilya, Indian philosopher, 3rd century BC. I mean, the more spies you got, the more you know about things, and the more you know about things, with knowledge being power, the more dangerous you become. So you should strive to have all the spies all the time. I have at least 2 spies right now in this very room, but you don't even know they're there. That's how spyy they are. Well, you do know they're there now, but maybe I'm lying. Hmm. Keys to power. In the realm of power, your goal is a degree of control over future events. Part of the problem you face, then, is that people won't tell you all their thoughts, emotions, and plans. Controlling what they say, they often keep the most critical parts of their character hidden. Their weaknesses, ulterior motives, obsessions. The result is that you cannot predict their moves and are constantly in the dark. The trick is to find a way to probe them, to find out their secrets and hidden intentions without letting them know what you are up to. The asking of the indirect question, the leading, letting them go ahead and take you down a path, but subtly guiding them down the path you want them to go down, but definitely letting them take you. There is a very, very fine art to having a conversation that would be like probative or interrogative or interviewing. This is not as difficult as you might think. A friendly front will let you secretly gather information on friends and enemies alike. Let others consult the horoscope or read tarot cards. You have more concrete means of seeing into the future. So, I mean, if you just if you're just friendly with people, you can often get them to be very open as long as they don't think you're malicious. The most common way of spying is to use other people, as Javine did. The method is simple, powerful, but risky. You will certainly gather information, but you have little control over the people who are doing the work. Perhaps they will ineptly reveal your spying or even secretly turn against you. It is far better to be the spy yourself, to pose as a friend while secretly gathering information. Yeah, I mean, using other people to do your spying for you, obviously, you are dependent on other people. And we learned in a law not that long ago to always keep people dependent on you and to not end up being in a point of dependence because that's a weak point to be in. So it's probably best to do your own damn spying if you can get close enough. If you can't get close, there's not much you can do about that. You kind of gotta work with what you got. The French politician Talleyrand, this guy again, he keeps showing up, doesn't he? Was one of the greatest practitioners of this art. He had an uncanny ability to worm secrets out of people in polite conversation. A contemporary of his, Baron de Vitrolles, wrote, "Wit and grace marked his conversation. He possessed the art of concealing his thoughts or his malice beneath a transparent veil of insinuations, words that imply something more than they express. Only when necessary did he inject his own personality. The key here is Talleyrand's ability to suppress himself in the conversation, to make others talk endlessly about themselves and inadvertently reveal their intentions and plans." This comes all the way back to Law 4, always say less than necessary. And if you're in a conversation probing for information, the less you say, the more you give the person you are talking to the opportunity to do the talking. And you will often find that when you give someone else the opportunity to do all the talking, and you can manage to lead them just enough, you can get them to say a lot of things while you say very little to nothing at all. It's quite a useful trick. Throughout Talleyrand's life, people said he was a superb conversationalist, yet he actually said very little. He never talked about his own ideas. He got others to reveal theirs. He would organize friendly games of charades for foreign diplomats, social gatherings where, however, he would carefully weigh their words, cajole confidences out of them, and gather information invaluable to his work as France's foreign minister. At the Congress of Vienna, he did his spying in other ways. He would blurt out what seemed to be a secret, actually something he made up. Then watch his listeners' reactions. He might tell a gathering of diplomats, for instance, that a reliable source had revealed to him that the Tsar of Russia was planning to arrest his top general for treason. By watching the diplomats' reactions to this made-up story, he would know which ones were most excited by the weakening of the Russian army. Perhaps their governments had designs on Russia? As Baron von Stetten said, Monsieur Talleyrand fires a pistol into the air to see who will jump out the window. Ah, so this guy is like he's a foreign minister, a diplomat, and a politician. So he's basically a spy, like by trade. It's his job to do all the spying and to learn everything he can about all the people. So that's why he's mighty good at it. Yeah, and he's French, so that's probably not good for him. But he was the French foreign minister under Napoleon, so back then France wasn't what we know it to be today, which is a hollowed out husk of its former self. If you have reason to suspect that a person is telling you a lie, look as though you believed every word he said. This will give him courage to go on. He will become more vehement in his assertions, and in the end betray himself. Again, if you perceive that a person is trying to conceal something from you, but with only partial success, look as though you did not believe him. The opposition on your part will provoke him into leading out his reserve of truth and bringing the whole force of it to bear upon your incredulity. Arthur Schopenhauer. So if you know someone's lying to you, act as if you believe every word of it. And if you think someone's trying to hide something from you, but not very good, you gotta act as if you don't believe them. That's the rules here. Because of reasons. I mean, the reasons are listed right here. We just read them. Incredulity and whatnot, leading out the reserve of truth. During social gatherings and innocuous encounters, pay attention. I mean, that's really good to do in all situations. It's very rude if you're having like a social gathering or a encounter with someone, whether it be innocuous or otherwise, to pay attention. And it could also save you from getting stampeded by a rhinoceros that you didn't see coming because you weren't paying attention. This is when people's guards are down. By suppressing your own personality, you can make them reveal things. The brilliance of the maneuver is that they will mistake your interest in them for friendship, so that you not only learn, you make allies. So this is where we come back to, like, if you're interacting with somebody, always say less than necessary and ask a lot of questions. Let them do most of the talking. Don't challenge them. Just seem like you're extremely interested because you are. Because the point of what you're trying to do is to gather information. And the best way to get information is to say less and listen more. I see everybody in chat has stopped talking. Everybody's saying less. Everybody is listening and they're interested in Darth's opinion on things. It is so true, isn't it? It's really easy to just people tell you more and more about and if you just keep asking questions, they'll just keep going on and on and on, and they'll think you're genuinely interested because you are interested, but not for the reason they're going to assume that you're interested. But yeah, it's really an effective tactic. That's why always say less than necessary was the fourth law. Kind of important. Nevertheless, you should practice this tactic with caution and care. If people begin to suspect you are worming secrets out of them under the cover of conversation, they will strictly avoid you. Emphasize friendly chatter, not valuable information. Your search for gems of information cannot be too obvious, or your probing questions will reveal more about yourself and your intentions than about the information you hope to find. So obviously, like, if you're trying to stealth get information out of somebody, don't interrogate them like you were in a police station. Like, you have to be coy and you got to be gentle. Let the conversation go where it may, but pay attention to what what you can pick up, and don't try to lead it too hard. Gently nudge the conversation in the directions you want it to go, and if it doesn't go where you want it to go, you're going to have to wait till later. A trick to try in spying comes from Laroche, who wrote, "Sincerity is found in very few men and is often the cleverest of ruses. One is sincere in order to draw out the confidence and secrets of the other. By pretending to bare your heart to another person, in other words, you make them more likely to reveal their own secrets. Give them a false confession and they will give you a real one." Another trick was identified by the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, who suggested vehemently contradicting people you're in conversation with as a way of irritating them, stirring them up so that they lose some kind of control over their words. In their emotional reaction, they will reveal all kinds of truths about themselves, truths you can later use against them. So there is that aspect, like La Rochefoucauld over here is advocating for the deep revelation, the false sincerity, but you make it look super sincere, even though you're playing a ruse. And Schopenhauer's, I like, that's an interesting one right there, because I have been known to, when I get riled up, do a lot more talking before I think, than I would normally otherwise do if I wasn't irritated or otherwise spun up. And that can be extremely dangerous, so careful when dealing with people who like to get you spun up, especially people who seem amused by it, because you could be revealing a lot of information about yourself to these people. Try not to let them see you get spun up. Uh, Another method of indirect spying is to test people, to lay little traps that make them reveal things about themselves. Chosroes II, a notoriously clever 7th century king of the Persians, had many ways of seeing through his subjects without raising suspicion. If he noticed, for instance, that two of his courtiers had become particularly friendly, he would call one of them aside and say he had information that the other was a traitor and would soon be killed. The king would tell the courtier that he trusted him more than anyone and that he must keep this information secret. Then he would watch the two men carefully. If he saw that the second courtier had not changed in his behavior toward the king, he would conclude that the first courtier had kept the secret, and he would quickly promote the man, later taking him aside to confess, "I meant to kill your friend because of certain information that had reached me, but when I investigated the matter, I found it was untrue." Also, he's doing uh, he's doing the thing. He's doing the thing where I I, I know the variation of this I heard was you would tell like three three different lies to three different people, and then see which ones got back to you. Yeah. Plant three rumors. That is, plant three rumors and see which rumors return to you, or plant multiple rumors. It's really a genius practice of testing people. But that's exactly what this is sounding like. It's just like telling someone something, see if it changes things. If, on the other hand, the second courtier started to avoid the king, acting aloof and tense, Chosroes have would know that the secret had been revealed. He would ban the second courtier from his court, letting him know that the whole business had only been a test, but even though the man had done nothing wrong, he could no longer trust him. The first courtier, however, had revealed his secret, and him Chosroes would ban from his entire kingdom. It may seem an odd form of spying that reveals not empirical information, but a person's character. Often, however, it is the best way of solving problems before they arise. Yes, you're doing these little character tests on people, these little shit tests, if you will, to see how they're going to react. Then you'll know if you're going to what kind of problems you're going to have, and if you know how they're going to react, you know how to deal with them. And sometimes you can get rid of problems before they happen, like your courtier who didn't pass your little shit test. So true. That makes perfecter sense. By tempting people into certain acts, you learn about their loyalty, their honesty, and so on. And this kind of knowledge is often the most valuable of all. Armed with it, you can predict their actions in the future. So you are, well, you have a better chance of predicting their actions in the future. Haha, footballers misses did that lie thing to expose another footballer's misses for telling the press. How did uh footballers? They play sports ball. I don't play sports ball. But I did get the news broadcast the sports ball section. So that happened. Image. The third eye of the spy. In the land of the two-eyed, the third eye gives you the omniscience of a god. You see further than others, and you see deeper into them. Nobody is safe from the eye but you. Whew. Creepy. Spy eye. Authority. Now, the reason a brilliant sovereign and a wise general conquer the enemy whenever they move, and their achievements surpass those of ordinary men, is their foreknowledge of the enemy situation. This foreknowledge cannot be elicited from spirits, nor from gods, nor by analogy with past events, nor by astrologic calculations. It must be obtained from men who know the enemy situation. From spies. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. So yeah, if you're gonna predict the enemy, you need actual spies. I mean, that depends on what your goals are. Sometimes you play the long game and you don't show your hand. You gather up information over extended periods of time, and when you no longer need to, or you need to use that information, then you play that card. And yeah, once you've been exposed and outed as a spy, the gig is usually up at that point. Like, very few people are going to trust a spy twice. Just, that's not a thing. Uh, Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, you can't get fooled again. George W. Bush. W. But yeah, that's why sometimes having other people do the spying is helpful, because then you can use the information to subtly manipulate and kind of nudge without revealing yourself. Information reversal. Blah. Information is critical to power, but just as you spy on other people, you must be prepared for them to spy on you. One of the most potent weapons in the battle for information, then, is giving out false information. That would be mis or disinformation, in the classical sense, not in the current sense of information we don't like. But back in the day, like false information, it was the original misinformation. As Winston Churchill said, truth is so precious that she should always be attended by a bodyguard of lies. You must surround yourself with such a bodyguard so that your truth cannot be penetrated. Ooh, penetrated. Giggity. By planting the information of your choice, you control the game. So this is where we come back to that whole putting out false information, false rumors, keeping people not knowing exactly what's going on. In 1944, the Nazis' rocket bomb attacks on London suddenly escalated. Over 2,000 V-1 flying bombs fell on the city, killing more than 5,000 people and wounding many more. Somehow, however, the Germans consistently missed their targets. Bombs that were intended for Tower Bridge or Piccadilly would fall well short of the city, landing in the less populated suburbs. This was because in fixing their targets, the Germans relied on secret agents they had planted in England. They did not know that these agents had been discovered and that in their place, English-controlled agents were feeding them subtly deceptive information, so they had been double-crossed. Judge Maddie is your bodyguard? But he's old. And he's not very scary at all. I'm driving and still listening. And he's singing. Jesus. Yeah, they did, motherfuckers. The Germans bombing London in World War II. Is that what they did? The bombs would hit farther and farther from their targets every time they fell. By the end of the campaign, they were landing on cows in the country. Hey, what are you bombing those cows for? They didn't do nothing to you. Bombing cows. By feeding people wrong information, then you gain a potent advantage. While spying gives you a third eye, disinformation puts out one of your enemy's eyes. A Cyclops, he always misses his target. That's it. That's the law of 14, y'all. Spies. I don't really, yeah, and miss their targets. That's the point. Like, that's why you want to mislead them so they don't know what to target in on. What the real truth of anything is, then they won't know what you're doing here. So yeah, did everyone have fun with Lush 14? I don't really have a great big like. I don't know. I don't do a. If I did a lot of spying, I wouldn't fucking tell you. So say less. I don't really have a lot to add to this. I'm not going to teach you how to spy on people because I don't do that allegedly. And if I did, you would never know. I don't really like that law either. Thankfully, tomorrow at the exact same time at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Law 15, crush your enemy totally. And this is definitely sounding like a law that is way more up my alley. So look forward to that one tomorrow night at the 8 o'clock. Alright, Law 15, obviously. I'll give you a preview. Just because we got a few minutes before this goes to an hour. I'll read the judgment. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. Sometimes they have learned this the hard way. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. The enemy will recover and will seek revenge. Crush him not only in body, but in spirit. Wow. That's ominous. So yeah, you guys don't want to miss this one tomorrow. And it'd be really super dope if you could like tell a friend that this was going to be a fun one, Law 15. So I hope everyone decides to find the time to be able to make it for that one. As always, thank everybody who joined in the chat. Special thanks to everyone who participated: the Bijus, the Shallowmanes, the Kiki Ninjas, the Judge Matties. Anybody who's watching on replay, if you have anything to add or any questions, always feel free to put them in the comment section, and I will answer them there if I have an answer for you. And yeah, that about wraps it up, guys. I will catch you guys all back here same time tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful night, and watch out for the spies and the snakes and all those things. See y'all in the next one.